Dadnarok presents the Ted Lasso After Show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Hey, tonight we are talking about season 2, episode 11. Oh my goodness, the penultimate episode of the season. Episode 11, which is called Midnight Train to Royston. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I think we both missed the reference there, but I think we understand what they're going for.
Yeah. If you guys happen to know what that's a reference to, Midnight Train to Royston. I know, I've heard Midnight Train to Georgia, but
Yeah.
Royston, I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can figure it out. Leave a note in the comments or comment right now. We're a very interactive program here. If you guys are watching us on Facebook or YouTube, any platform that you're able to leave a comment, go ahead and do so, and we'll try to pull it up as best we can throughout the episode.
Yeah, and if you
Go
haven't
ahead.
already, please like, subscribe, and comment, like Sean said already. But let's dive into this. First impression of the episode.
Oh, I got whiplash this episode, man. Like, boy, oh boy, it just seems like there's a time jump, right, between the last episode and this one, because all of a sudden they're heading towards their last game.
Yeah.
And
Well, we start with seeing Sam get his first hat trick.
Yeah.
Or hearing about his first hat trick.
Right. Which is crazy. For the fact that, well, the last few weeks we've been like, okay, we need to move on with the football this season. Like, where are we at as far as their football season? And, because they were going to get relegated, or I mean, they've already been relegated, but are they going to get promoted by the end of the season? And here we just open up with announcers telling us that they've done really well.
Yeah.
And
they're one win away from promotion. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of a jolt, kind of like, whoa, okay. Kind of crazy.
Whiplash, perfect. Oh, look, we both clicked on it at the same time. Perfect analogy. Yeah, no, I mean, we don't like tuning our horn. One thing that we do a lot on our show is we try to look forward, almost to my detriment. I mean, like I was writing seasons forward and all this.
Yeah, you are.
And we were like, where can this go? And we're like looking at it and going back and forth. And man, I mean, like I said, not to toot our own horn on this, midnight train to Royston, but I think we nailed a couple of them. What do you think?
Some of these storylines are pretty close to what we thought they may be. Yeah, earlier in the season for sure, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, let's see. This episode, moral dilemmas abound. Absolutely, just all over the place. Afterwards, I was telling my wife, like, "Oh, this is a very dramatic episode. Wait till you watch it." And she was like, "Okay, well, whose storyline is really dramatic?" I was like, "Well,
all of them.
Nate's, Keeley's, Royce, Ted's, Sharon's."
The whole thing, it was all over the place, and
yeah.
I was on board for it because none of them felt forced. All of them felt right in line with how their character will be going.
Yeah,
and it's almost like with Roy, for instance. I at one point thought, "Oh, he's falling for the teacher."
Yeah.
I mean, that was my first indication, and then we get later down the road. There's a conversation where I don't believe it's the case anymore. But that first kind of instinct was like, "Uh-oh, this may be issues."
Do they throw hats onto the pitch for a hat trick? I don't know. You know more about
no,
soccer,
it's not quite like hockey, but that would be funny. All of a sudden they start
all those derby caps, those like taxi driver hats they were.
Yeah, they do get kind of rowdy during soccer matches, but usually it's not hats; it's more beers.
Yeah. The same last season, the last episodes end with Richmond having to win, just like the truth bomb. Oh yeah, that was a cool reference, which I guess happened maybe in the penultimate episode last season too. When Rebecca, it was kind of a bit of a meta reference when Ted brings it up. This time
you're making a habit out of this,
right? Yeah,
this time last year she dropped off the knowledge that she was trying to destroy the team.
Yeah,
and she felt terrible about it. Now she came down and told Ted about her and Sam's relationship, and she can't separate the two between the club and the person.
Yeah. Sam was kind of a focal point in this episode. Not only just Sam himself, but characters around Sam. I mean, there's this guy he drops out from the sky in a helicopter. This billionaire. I mean, random, just out of the blue. Never even heard of this guy before. But oh, by the way, there's this billionaire from Ghana that would like to drop down and perhaps purchase the team. And they find out later, no, he just wants to purchase Sam.
Well, he doesn't even have a team yet. He's talking about purchasing this team. So he doesn't even actually own a team yet.
Was he talking about starting a team or starting his own league,
No,
like
no,
an
no.
African-only league?
He was going to purchase a team
Oh,
that was
okay.
already there. And his goal was to basically bring all the highest skilled African players
Yeah.
to this team so they can go ahead and say rival a Man City or a Chelsea or
Mhm.
all the big clubs that are already out there. So he
Right.
wanted them, and he was like, you know what, when we're going to go ahead and win the World Cup in the next 20 years, an African country.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he pretty much he was really laying it on thick as far as enticing Sam to join up with him. I mean, he was I thought the whole thing about, hiring paid actors was a joke, but no, apparently apparently he did. He was really staging that whole thing.
Man.
The walk through the
Oh
museum,
yeah,
the
the
restaurant
museum, the
afterwards.
restaurant, the the whole deal. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think of the pitch? I mean, let's just dive into Sam here. Uh, he seems intrigued. He seems very flattered. But there was one point he said he doesn't see himself leaving Richmond.
He did say
You,
that, but I think that's only because of Rebecca. We see in the very opening, he's kind of, lovelorn a little bit. He keeps searching for more from Rebecca, through that simple text, and she
yeah,
basically just tells him goodnight. He's holding on to something, and I think that's what he's holding on to. But honestly, if I were Sam, I would like go for this. Anytime that somebody sees the value in you, like this billionaire seems to, and wants to kind of maybe not build a team around you, but like, you would be a really important facet to it. And, Sam would be closer to home.
yeah,
Sam's already kind of a hometown hero for what he did for his home country a few episodes back earlier this season. So if I were Sam and in Sam's position, I would, but I don't
yeah. He
know.
threw the line at Sam and said, "I want the man. The footballer is just a plus on how skilled he is."
Yeah, but
I mean,
he was like, I'll
that
take
was
the footballer.
yeah, that was a very very smart way to go ahead and do it. He
Right.
said he wants to purchase Casablanca.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be
Yeah,
another team that
interesting.
he currently doesn't have, but
Yeah.
but he sells to Sam that, you know what, I'm a billionaire, but I don't believe in him. So he's saying he's splitting up his dad's, fortune.
Right.
So he's playing to that side of Sam. So we don't know how much of that's actually true or not. If he's buying museums and filling them with people, so he doesn't have to have,
Right. For a billionaire who doesn't really care for billionaires, he sure knows how to spend his money like a billionaire does.
yeah, exactly. And we
Uh,
have do we see much from Sam's dad? Because he always seems to follow his dad's advice.
oh, that's a good point, Mariana. Yeah, he does. No, I don't think we actually saw him reach out for counsel to his dad today. I'm sure that's the next step for him. So, because basically he has 72 hours to make this decision, and I'm sure that'll come up next episode.
Yeah, because we have
Hopefully,
the
the next episode takes place right after this one. I'm
It's
hoping.
got to. I'm not sure
Yeah,
I mean, and the next game has to take place, and we got to get resolution to Sam.
yeah,
And I believe the two can go hand in hand. I think they can win with Sam at the helm and
right.
being the reason they win, and then him feeling and coming to a realization that, this is the most I can achieve here with this team. And then he
Right.
does move on and he lets, Rebecca take the ungodly amount of money that they're going to pay for the transfer.
Yeah, for real. Don't forget that Sam wants to make his father proud. He apparently called him to tell him about the situation. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. At the end, we
Yeah.
didn't see much of the conversation
Mhm.
because I think it cut from that to basically when he was walking to
Okay.
his
Yeah.
house and Rebecca was basically sitting on the stoop and kind
Right.
of like you can tell even in her eyes, she didn't know what she was doing there. She knew her
Yeah.
heart was telling her to be there,
Right.
but she didn't know really how to address her being there.
Yeah. They're really milking this whole Rebecca Sam thing. I think this should have been resolved a while ago. Every time Rebecca's kind of like in turmoil about what to do about Sam, like I get it. He was a nice guy over banter, but it's like it's just not going to work. I mean, he's a young guy. Let this young guy go and flourish somewhere where he's really wanted and needed. I mean, they love him and adore him in Richmond and stuff, but I feel like this is a great opportunity for Sam, and hopefully ultimately at the end of the day Rebecca, leans that way. But so far she even tells him, she's like, I hope you don't go.
Yeah. Well, Ted, I mean, during that conversation Rebecca and Ted had, Ted was like, "Don't listen to me.
Yeah,
Don't listen to anybody else. Listen to your gut, and on the way to your gut, trust your heart." I kind of
right.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I mean, that's nice and all, but she doesn't even know what her gut is telling her.
Yeah, true. Sam didn't follow her out to her car as a woman that cuts like a knife. Oh, okay. A different perspective than you and I. I think yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I thought maybe Rebecca had just kind of said her piece and didn't know what to do, so she left. But yeah, he didn't follow her out there,
He
which
didn't even turn around, I don't think.
no, he didn't. And the Sam from last episode and the episode before that, he was such a puppy dog around her. Now that he's has this opportunity elsewhere, maybe it's really kind of changing him. I don't know.
But this falls right into what I didn't want to happen. I mean, they're writing him off the show. He's going to go to Casablanca. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he's leaving for that team, which at for the character, for the player, that
Hmm.
makes the most sense. That is his road to be on the World Cup team for for Ghana.
Right.
That's what he wants. That's always been his dream. So if he's looking to fulfill that dream, that's the next step for him.
Yeah, I'm hoping he leans in. Honestly, for the character, I just think it's appropriate. He deserves his time to shine, his time to shine down somewhere closer to home. To be with his family. So I think that would be a nice fitting ending for him. Honestly, if he's kind of written off the show in that way, I think it would be a nice way for him to go out.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be like he was being pushed aside or anything happened.
Yeah.
He'll be furthering his career, and it just seemed like it had to be with um another country, another club. And same as Nigerian, not in,
Yeah, I know he's not from Ghana, but I mean, he still would be closer to home. I mean, even this billionaire says as much. Like they were ribbing each other back and forth so much about
oh, definitely
Nigeria
at
versus
dinner.
Ghana.
Yeah, at that dinner, at that meal, that was funny how they're going back and forth. Now I enjoyed
Yeah,
that whole like dynamic between the two. Like
yeah.
when he shook Sam's hand, but he wouldn't shake Ted's hand.
I know Ted noticed that too. He was a little put off. He was like, "Okay, all right."
But then them walking, through the museum and talking about the painting and how he bought it and how it should be back with them in their country.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, he was playing to that side of Sam. So I don't know how much of this is actually genuine or how much of this is actually salesman speak.
I know I struggled with this guy because it's like I seemed like I kind of wanted to like him. Usually these characters, these billionaire characters are a bit eccentric and they, spend their money like, water just flowing through their hands and
Yeah, yeah.
there's that aspect to it. So it's like, oh, this painting and, I bought it. And that just puts me off just like immediately. The first thing, like, oh God, he's so rich, he could just buy this painting that they're admiring. But then right after he says, I wanted to bring it home. It deserves to be in a place. He mentions a specific place in Africa, and right after he said that, he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, he's doing it to benefit back home and stuff too." So it was like this constant push and pull of like
Yeah.
there's this like kind of arrogant, almost billionaire, but he's doing good things with it. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I can't be mad.
But yeah, even when they were talking about introducing Banksy, it
Oh, that
says he
was
just
funny.
met a
What a
real cool
funny throwaway
person.
joke. Yeah, that was really funny. Just this guy you wouldn't expect to be
Yeah.
Banksy. It was
But I mean,
funny.
as a whole, I mean, it's going the way I didn't want it to go. But for the character and like if they're gonna hold to what makes sense for the club, and
Hmm.
and definitely if they're promoted, think of it this way: they win this game, I'm fully expecting them to win it. I'm expecting to get promoted. If they go ahead and sell off the rights for Sam for this ungodly amount of money that wasn't, what actually said what it was, but knowing how soccer and European soccer goes,
Hmm.
it's going to be a very high transfer fee.
Right.
They can use those funds to go ahead and purchase other players and help them on their way of winning the Premier League, which I think is the end goal of the show.
Oh, that's a fair point. So if they actually do win and we, into season 3, the storyline that we had thought was projected here from the get-go when they literally set this show up, Jason Sudeikis said they plan on a 3-season run. Yeah, maybe that's the case. Maybe they get a player or two that are really gonna,
That's going to be up front. It's going to help Jamie. And it's going to help
yeah,
Danny. And Isaac's going to be able to sit back. I think he's more of a midfielder. I don't think he's a defender. But they're going to be players that are going to be able to complement what they are. 'Cause, okay, they have one great player in Sam.
right.
But if they can turn one great player into three really good players, that's going to benefit the team in the long run. And that's where she's really struggling with it.
Here's another thing that Christopher mentions when he said you just met a really cool person, and like that Ted. I remember Ted doing that at the restaurant with Trent Crimm and the
Oh, back
guy
at the beginning when they
at
had
the
the,
restaurant.
yeah, and they were eating, was it African food? I think it
Yeah,
was.
they may have been. It was like really spicy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was a definite. I did pick up on that, Christopher. That was a good pull. So it's like, okay, well, he just did something Ted does, so I'm maybe I am supposed to like this guy. I don't know.
But yeah,
Um,
I don't wanna see him go, but I think for the overall arcing story of both club and player, I think it's better for both of them.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So that was kind of mainly Sam and Rebecca's focus. Rebecca, a lot of what she did this episode was kind of around her relationship around Sam, and Sam had boy a lot going on this episode. But I
Yes.
think we pretty much addressed most of it.
Yeah, Sam's all over the place, guys. And if you haven't already, I mean, we really appreciate you guys, stopping in, watching us for a little bit of time, interacting with us. I mean, it really goes a long way for us if would hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, that little bell, because we go live not just on Fridays when we have some other things happening as well. But let's keep this train on to Royston moving. What do you think?
Yeah, it was Indian food with Trent. It was Indian
Indian,
food. Now that I
yes,
remember,
yeah,
yeah,
okay. No, you're
it was
absolutely
the
right.
guy's
Yes,
father-in-law. It was his father-in-law's
it was the
restaurant.
taxi driver that took him to work
Right,
his
that's
his
right.
his
Yeah.
apartment.
Um, let's see. So what's some other characters here? Oh, okay. So
Should we jump
we
into the whole love triangle thing happening, or should we
I
go to Sharon and Ted?
let's let's save Ted for the end. Yeah, let's just save Sharon and Ted. Let's go with this new love triangle. This new and improved love triangle. I don't know. This scary love triangle. This made me uncomfortable, man. This whole thing with Nate. Nate's been giving me the creeps kind of on and off this whole like just bad mojo, bad vibes from Nate
Yeah.
this whole season. And this episode really, man, it was even
Well, he's
worse.
got this weird, like, I'm gonna spit in the mirror thing to get myself pumped up.
Hmm.
I mean, it's dude, it just gives me weird vibes, like almost like creepy weird vibes. Like, dude, something's not quite right.
The whole spitting in the mirror thing, he's done that maybe 3 times now, and every time it's just like,
Unless unless
what's
he's
up?
looking at it like he's spitting on himself, his reflection, which
Right.
is like a reflection of what he used to be. So if he's spitting on himself there, he's like, you know what? Grow a set, let's go.
Yeah, yeah, but he also
Maybe
kind of
that's a
does it
reach.
when he's like punishing himself too. Because in the bathroom he wasn't like rearing himself up to go. It was almost like he was ashamed, like totally ashamed for what he did, and went back in there. And I wonder if it's some kind of childhood trauma where he was spit on or something.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
probably learn more.
Yeah. He is going great quick.
I
And
did see that. I noticed
yeah.
that. That's funny that you
Yeah.
noticed that.
That's
Yeah,
something I did see as well. Definitely when they put on the black suit
right.
and it was really, a contrast to it. Like you really seen
It
how
was.
great he's coming.
He did look good in that suit, that black one. The other one, I don't know if that was doing him any favors.
Oh no, but Keeley likes a guy in black suit, so
Yeah, she does. That's true. Very true. But yeah, so I don't know I don't know what else kind of earlier happens in the episode, kind of dropping
well, I mean,
the
it
headline
started
here
with
first.
it started basically with, they were in the actual coach's room. And
Oh,
he
right.
starts talking about a false nine, and Ted's like, I'm not sure what a false nine is. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know exactly what he's talking about immediately. And Beard fills them in. And
Yeah.
then Ted's like, okay. And Nate starts talking like, you know what? I would like to get the credit for this. If this works, and he said it's going to work, I want the credit for it. And Beard's like
Right.
real quick, so you know what? You're not, and it's part of the job.
Yeah.
You're an assistant coach. You're not the coach.
Right. See, to a point, I almost agree with Nate. There are certain times where it's like, come on, Ted, you are the head coach of this team, and how many times do we need to explain to you the game of soccer? Keep having to explain to him these ideas, and Beard seems to be resigned to it. Beard knows just his place, that he's the expert between the two, and Ted's got the other side of the coin managed with as far as growing these men into the best people they
Mhm.
can be, right? And Beard kind of understands that. Nate is not about that. Nate's like, I am the wonderkind. I know what I'm doing, and Ted keeps getting the credit, which to a certain point, I understand, but yeah, he takes it way too far.
So he likes the story, and you see the actor does a great job making you love him and hate him. Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, Loving them. I absolutely did the first season. I thought it was a great story, coming from, being the Kit Boy and then, eventually being handed the whistle in the end. There's not an episode this season that I was like, oh, that was an awesome episode for Nate. I enjoyed Nate in that one. All of them, like, man, I just don't want much to do with them.
I know, and it's tough because I don't think I mean, we're not supposed to be rooting for him. I mean, he's definitely showing traits that we're supposed to be like, rooting against,
But he's
It's
absolutely the conflict this season.
yeah, they're definitely I mean, especially at the end, gosh, you and I called that, but I didn't realize that they're going to go that far with him, but yeah,
Well,
anyway, it started with that. So we got a little inkling of him. Well, first he was being rude to the new Kid Boy, right? Once again, he was telling the new Kid Boy off, and Beard once again kind of glanced at
well,
him
it
like,
always went back to the suit. Oh, here's the suit Ted Lasso bought for you, or Coach Lasso bought for you, and it just freaks him out to the point where he
right.
hides in Keeley's dark office
Yeah.
and freaks her out, and they wind up
Yeah.
going out and, buying him, a new suit that's so overpriced and looks like something straight out of the 60s.
She was excited to do that though. Like when he asked her, she was like, "Oh heck yeah!" Well, she said the F word, but yeah, let's go do it. That'd be amazing.
Only
Um,
she can say it the way she sees it, though, so, us saying it for her wouldn't,
yeah, I know.
give
I'm
it
not gonna
justice.
quote her exactly, but she likes Nate. Everybody there likes Nate, except for maybe the new Kid Boy, because he sees the darkest side of Nate constantly. But yeah, she wanted to do that for him, like spend some time. She knows the I don't know if the shame, but just the people ragging on him about keep mentioning his only suit was one that Ted bought him. So she's probably excited to do that for him. So um I don't know when they were in that room and he was in the new suit and she was giving him compliments, and you could tell when the camera angle gets so close, they start really filming the camera where they're like the faces are like right here, like oh no, and she keeps talking about like just going for it, taking chances, people like
Yeah.
us, and you just saw it coming a mile away when Nate just goes for it.
Yeah. Yeah, we said this earlier, we made that, the comparison.
Yeah.
This is The Empire Strikes Back. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, I feel that way too. If this truly is a 3-act structure with they only plan for 3 seasons, it is getting dark. You just compare the two. After this episode especially, I was like, "Man, we've come a long way from season 1." Like
Yeah,
season
we
1 was
have. It was
like
just uplifting and everything in season 1. This one
yeah,
here, they're giving us so much depth to these characters that you wouldn't expect, and man, it's
right.
phenomenal.
Yeah, and there weren't a lot of laughs this episode. I mean, it was a lot of just very dramatic, kind of
I
dark
kinda
emotional
thought it
stuff.
was funny with Phoebe drawing boobies. I thought that was kinda funny, but that's just my immature side. I just thought
Not only drawing them, but drawing them really well.
I mean, yeah, that I was like, "Where is she getting these models from, man?" This
I
is pheno
know.
you can't
Even Roy was like, "Yeah."
yeah, one of the last ones like, "That one's pretty good."
Yeah. But yeah, so that's another side of this coin. So we had that whole thing with Nate and Keeley having that moment of kind of embarrassment there. But so Roy, he's out and he goes to pick up his niece Phoebe, who's had a half day and she's already gone. So we've met this teacher before, and they had kind of a nice scene, introducing her a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And he's Roy Kent. He's a CGI creature. He's the perfect man.
Well, no, he's not. Phoebe was let out in a half day. He missed the release of her. Who knows
Oh
who took her?
yeah.
I mean, they told her
When
who left.
when he was like fun, it reminded me of Christmas Story where he's like fudge, but he
Yeah.
brought up the fun. That was funny. But yeah, that was another thing where the you could tell the show is really trying to play up this will they won't they somewhat kind of romantic meet cute kind of thing where they're really getting along, this teacher and Roy.
Oh, yeah, I had to when they were there as long as it was and starts talking,
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh," because I'm thinking in the back of my head too, I'm thinking, "Okay, what if they do go storyline Jamie and Keeley again?"
right.
And then they find that they've got feelings for each other, and then Roy realizes, there's something here with this teacher.
Yeah,
And there's a mutual split, and it's not really detrimental to anybody, and they both go their own ways.
yeah,
I mean, I think I'm completely wrong with that based on how everything ended here at the end, because I think there was tension and there was uncomfortable, but I think they both realized because Keeley wound up in Roy's arms at the end of the funeral.
Yeah, yeah.
And with Roy telling Keeley, I think it was him showing that I'm not going anywhere either.
Right.
But how about we do this? Let's go ahead and watch that clip here.
At the funeral, Jamie told me he still loves me.
Okay, here we go. Turn to me.
Once again, music playing in the background. We didn't do our studies as far as what the soundtrack was this episode. I'm sure it meant something important.
Yeah, I was looking at them. I mean, there's a actual playlist. I think someone here in our comments went ahead and let us know that there was a playlist on Apple for each season. And
Yeah.
I kind of I went into I was playing it, and the songs for this week was like, oh, it was telling to me. I was like, oh, something's gonna happen.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, between those two, you can see Keeley is terrified to tell him.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
She is so scared to tell him because she knows what the ramifications can really be.
Yeah.
She knows either he's a fighter. He's not a flighter. He's gonna fight. And then the whole thing with him and Jamie, coming to a resolution. I feel like those two are in a good spot together now. So
Right.
when now him knowing that and Roy's response, he's kind of sitting there and his mouth opens a little bit and it kind of tremors a little bit. You don't know if it's
It's anger. It's a wave of emotions. I'm
yeah.
sure it's confusion. It's like, what's my next step here? And the fact that they are kind of stuck there in that place.
I mean, that
Like,
was an ideal spot for Keeley to tell him because they're not moving. And he can't, I don't think he would really break out and ruin that whole situation for her.
well, ideal as far as for however many minutes they are still there,
Yeah.
but not ideal because that needed some more talking. That
Yeah.
needed a little bit more explanation from Keeley's end.
His ego, it took a shot. It
Oh
really
yeah,
did.
I think it sure did. We've missed a lot of. I'm gonna go back and kind of go through some of these comments here. So, yeah, going back here. Uh, Nate needs Doctor Sharon.
Oh,
I
yeah,
absolutely agree
worst
with
way.
that. Yeah.
We never seen him with her. Did he ever actually
No,
have a
I
scene
don't
or
think
anything?
so. And he might need her more than anyone.
Yeah,
Honestly.
exactly.
That ending just hurt. Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
think
the end.
related to
Yeah,
Nate
we
and
haven't
that
gotten there.
text.
We were absolutely addressed that.
Yeah, Nate stepped across the line with Keeley. He absolutely did, and he knew it immediately. I
And she
mean,
took it with stride too. I'm shocked that she didn't slap him or
right.
something, some type of reaction.
But
So
being a woman, like, she's a beautiful
I
woman.
know nothing about being a woman.
Well, true. But as far as her being a woman, she's probably had to deal with this stuff before. Guys coming on to her having
Well,
to
she
like put
said
this
one of
all
her
up.
first gigs was she was dressed up basically topless, jumping out of an airplane, eating a cheeseburger or
Right.
some weird advertising
Something
thing.
crazy scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Nate did cross the line immediately, and because Nate's a friend, she was
She rolled
careful
with it.
to like just stomp on his feelings. But yeah, he knew it. Keeley has a heart of gold, right? She's an angel that wants to help everyone. I agree. As far as she's just great character, and you felt bad in that moment because it's like, oh, Nate, don't do it, man. Come on.
Yeah. Because it's not going to end well.
Keeley has no clue about feminine energy. Hers is strong. Yeah, that could. Yeah, I mean, she's a very strong character. I would say that she's got a lot of feminine energy too. But I mean, what do I know? You know better than me, Melissa. Ted did so much for Nate, and Nate stabbed Ted in the back. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get no. Yeah, that was.
We're gonna get there, but yeah, just the NSYNC scene.
That was
so
hilarious because I'll be the first to say that when those songs were coming out, we were in high school.
Yeah,
and I was like, I despised them. Now I'm singing in the living room, bye bye bye.
I know, isn't that funny? You and I are like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. Oh, gross! But now it's like that was like the music of our youth.
Yeah, now we do, and now we know those songs, and we're kind of embarrassed to say them, even though I just put it on the internet.
This season is the Dark Forest in a 3-story fairy tale. You're right about that. Yeah, and I'm glad that Ted brought that up in that episode because that's come back quite a few times
Yeah.
since then. Yeah. At least Roy and Keeley were completely honest with each other instead of keeping secrets. That's something that I was relieved about because they had all those scenes with the teacher and with Roy and with Nate and with Keeley. And instead of hiding their day basically from each other and how maybe embarrassing that maybe they are in love and they are responsible adults and they did the right thing and told each other. But I don't think it was the most opportune moment because that needed further discussion and they didn't have time to discuss.
I think it was the safest moment for
Right,
her,
right, yeah.
because she knew he was stuck.
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave. So it's going to give him a moment to think about what he's going to say and do,
Right.
rather than just acting out and doing something. That's what I mean by the safest.
Yeah. Roy and Keeley don't really have a lot in common. I can see your point on that. They definitely come from different backgrounds, and so far it seems like the most they have in common is just how they're totally, nuts for each other. Which, if you got that, that might be enough. But yeah, it's been a struggle here the last couple episodes. Those two, the actor will be nominated for Emmys next year for this scene. Such great acting. Yeah, how much Roy had to do in the moment, like
Yeah, I love the scenes, and like in any real movie or show
yeah.
where there is zero dialogue and you
Mhm.
just have them acting just body language.
Yeah.
And sometimes those scenes actually say more than the actual scenes with dialogue themselves.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. So, as far as this goes, I don't know what this is probably the most. I don't know if it's the most conflict we've seen between these two, but it's definitely the most serious outside forces kind of intermingling. Because Jamie's like the Achilles heel in this puzzle because
Yeah.
he's aware of how much Keeley did like Jamie, might have even loved Jamie. He's aware of how much Jamie's grown, and he's not exactly the guy that he was last season, right? And they've always had their struggles between the two of them.
I
So,
I don't know about the Jamie and Keeley thing. I would go as far as saying Keeley was a part of Jamie's life because he was a footballer. He had
yeah,
money. She was trying to crack into that. Now, that's not painting a good picture of her in the beginning, but she has grown as a person and as as a character as much as Jamie has. So I think as much as she helped Jamie, I think in turn Jamie has helped her
yeah,
because she's become a part of the team. Her relationship with Roy has helped her grow. Her relationship with Rebecca has vaulted her forward.
right,
So I think if it wasn't for Jamie at first and her basically, I don't want to say latching on, just because he was a young, cute footballer, and that just like rock stars, you always have those girls, the groupies.
yeah.
And it benefited from her because she was able to split off that and actually improve herself tenfold.
Here's what I'll say about Jamie and Keeley. I think you're right. I think between, those first episodes of season 1 that we were introduced to Keeley and now, she's come a long, long way.
Mhm.
When she broke up with Jamie, she kind of excelled into her true self, right? And I would assume that even if Jamie comes up to her and professes his love to her, she's moved on so far past that she would just be like, "Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, you're a good guy, but I'm in a good place right now, and
Yeah.
good luck to you." But that's not how she responded. She was shook, and she's been shook since Jamie
Yeah.
brought that to her. So that tells me that there's something there. She's struggling with this somehow. I don't know what exactly because we haven't heard her really kind of talk about it out loud, but something else is going on with her as far as why she's so shook that Jamie had that news for her.
Give me a schmuck bait.
Hey, he's trying.
That's
Jamie
funny.
tired.
I like Jamie a lot more now than I did originally.
Yeah, I do too.
I
Even
like-
though he played an arrogant prick very well. The actor did.
Yeah.
As far as a character you love to hate or whatever, he did a good job last season. But yeah, I agree. He's come a long way.
Yeah, but then there's Roy. And I think Roy, as much as they're not showing it and saying it, I think it's all in body language and the
Yeah.
way he reacts to situations. I think he's super insecure. I think he's scared of losing what he feels as
Right.
the best part of his life.
Yeah.
And Keeley being that best part of his life, I mean, when he admitted to being with that teacher for 3 hours, and when she asked if he was married, he didn't have really a response. He just said no.
Yeah.
And he was like, he didn't know why he responded that way.
It's like he
Or
lied through omission. Like, why didn't he tell the teacher the whole truth? Like, I'm not, but I'm with someone that I really care for.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's like there's so much insecurity. It's like if he loses, Keeley to Jamie, God forbid, wow, that would
Whoa.
really
Oh,
hurt.
boy, you think we've seen an angry Roy Kent at this point?
Yeah. So if that happened, I mean, I don't know. I feel the reaction that he had within that moment of the scene we just watched was more of an insecurity, more from anger.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe anger is the wrong word, but it's just, yeah, I think you're right. There is an insecurity there, but I think a lot of times his insecurities kind of fluster up as anger. Just the way he presents himself, this gruff attitude that he has, and he doesn't know how to express himself any other way.
Apparently, we need a woman on this panel to help us do these problems.
Don't worry, I get texts throughout the episode to correct me.
The
I'm watching
physics
comments
said-
here, and I'm watching texts that come in from my wife.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I guess that's pretty much, I guess, all there is to say right now. But like, what crazy developments! I never saw the thing, even though we've called some things with Nate, especially. I never saw him coming on to Keeley. That was just kind of out of the blue. And I never saw this other kind of struggle coming with Roy and this love triangle. Even though I wasn't looking forward to a love triangle storyline this year, they are doing it well because they're focused on their focus is constantly on the relationship between Roy and Keeley. It's almost as though the relationship when it first started was too perfect, so they have to throw some curveballs at it to really give us reassurance that it's the real thing.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a love triangle because I
No,
don't really feel
yeah.
like it really is. It's somebody, going out of their way of saying, how much they actually care for somebody,
Yeah.
but the other person really not returning any of what that person's looking for. They got maybe a response out of them, but nothing down the lines of like, okay, let's do this.
Well, I'll ask you then. So I brought it up earlier. Why don't you think Keeley's more of just like, hey, Jamie, I've grown past you and I appreciate that you're a better guy now, but I'm happy. And why is Keeley acting the way she is? Why is Keeley so shook since that moment?
I honestly don't have an answer. I mean, it almost maybe like she understands how much he's grown with her being a part of his life,
Yeah.
which I mean, I think she loves, like you said, seeing people flourish. I mean, they've seen Roy go from broken down. Now he's pushed through all that. You see Nate. We see the turn in Nate, but he
Right.
went from basically nobody on the team to somebody that is a coach on the team. So he went through nothing. So she enjoys watching people, even her own story. So seeing Jamie grow the way he has, I think she feels proud of the situation. She feels proud that he was able to come to her knowing that she wasn't going to give him what he wanted,
Mhm.
but still felt like he could tell her how he was feeling. So
Yeah.
I think there's a pride part of it. But as a whole, I don't think he's going to be going or flattering, as Melissa says here, it's flattering.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. So,
Were you waiting for me to read?
I was
too busy coughing, dude. I lost you there. It's flattering. Who wouldn't want three men giving her attention? That doesn't make her bad. No.
Oh no, it doesn't make her bad in any way. No.
Yeah, and I'm not saying she's bad in any
No.
way. I'm just wondering how conflicted she might be internally. Like, what are her true feelings as far as Jamie goes? Like, is she having doubts on the stability of her relationship with Roy? I don't think that's a bad thing, but I'm just wondering what kind of struggles she's facing internally. Yeah, she was probably just surprised and didn't know what to say. I think, in that moment when Jamie comes to, I'm sure it totally shocked her.
Because she sees Roy and she buries her head in Roy's shoulder.
Yeah, she was
like right over his chest. Yeah, it's like, what, she just had to. And Roy at that time, all he was doing is apologizing for being an ass himself.
Right. Yeah.
So it was just overwhelming for her.
His psychotic eyebrows are the most terrifying thing. He's a big teddy bear. He is, yeah. For all his grunts and growls, she has his number, man. And she has had Roy's number from the beginning when she does that impression of him. outside the she called, and I think that's what he loves about Keeley the most, is because he can be himself completely and totally,
Yeah.
and she just takes it all in stride. I don't think he's ever had that before.
And she's not scared of Phoebe either. She knows his
Right.
relationship with Phoebe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's also that angle of it. So
Yeah.
I love all that. And I mean, we're gonna see where it goes. I mean, we only have one left.
Yeah, one episode, yeah. And
So
a
I mean,
season after that,
I
at
hope it
least.
doesn't bleed over.
Like too far into the next season, or like this
or
gonna
I
be an
hope they don't leave
ongoing
us like
thing?
a super high cliffhanger.
Yeah, I almost want to see these issues resolved this season, and season 3, like, we know for sure that these two are good, and we don't have to worry about outside forces driving any kind of wedges in between these two characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, that one, that's just
Yeah. She goes home with Roy after the funeral. That's right. Absolutely.
that's that. So you know what? Okay, this is the Ted Lasso after show.
Right. We lose sight of that sometimes with all these great characters.
We have to talk about Ted and how Sharon tried to just peace out. Oh, she just tried to drop out on them without. I mean, they're out there dancing, getting ready for their party, figuring out the bye dance and everything. And
Yeah.
oh man,
When they did figure it out, Christopher mentioned this. Go back and look at Jamie's reaction after Beard tells them that they nailed it. So funny. Apparently, Jamie was so excited to nail the bye choreography.
Yeah. Well, they were jumping around. Yeah, no, it was funny.
But yeah, so he's planning this big kind of goodbye message to Sharon. And well, we get why he's so upset later in the episode when he finds out from Higgins that Higgins is finally back in his own office. Thank goodness. It was nice seeing Higgins back in his office, but he tells, like, "Hey, Ted, she's already left. She left, yesterday or today or something." And he's mad. Like,
Oh
he's
yeah,
really
he didn't
mad.
want no letter. He
Yeah.
he was irate. He took the letter, shoved it in his pocket, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna find her." And
He
he's
does. He's
waiting
like, I
on
know
her.
where you live.
Exactly. I walked you home.
Yeah.
He folds up her bike and they walk up upstairs to her, her flat. And man, he's kind of laying into her. and she's just kind of just taking it. You can tell she didn't want the goodbye. I think she felt, well, she even said it. She's not good at goodbyes.
Right.
And I think there may have been such an element of humanity or just a relationship that was built between the two that she wouldn't know how to say goodbye.
Yeah, and she even says, she writes out her goodbyes better than she says them in person, which, that's something personal she's working through. And I think this time in Richmond has really changed and affected her, and changed her for the better. She says as much.
Yeah, and this is huge here too. He's tired of just being abandoned.
Yeah, he does say that. It's like,
Yeah.
he felt as though his dad left early and his wife divorced him. And yeah, he's got some abandonment issues. And
Yeah, absolutely. So the fact that he even, I think he went as far as saying that, it's like, everyone's leaving. He needs to be able to say a proper goodbye to
Right.
someone that he feels a kinship to.
Right. Do you think Sharon said in the letter that she could fall in love with Ted? That's why she had to leave. Christopher, I don't know. Here's the thing. When Ted was reading that letter, his mood changed completely. He was a bit irate, frustrated. He's like, there's no way in heck this letter is going to change how I feel about, you leaving. But then by the end of the letter, he's like, well, that's a good letter. And he understands, and it totally deflates him.
Changed. Yeah. He went in angry and was like, oh, then he felt like kind of silly for being angry.
Yeah. So Melissa says no, and I'm just gonna say no eventually too, because the way they end things, it's more of a just like, hey, a couple of good people, good friends having a beer at the pub. But I will be honest, when he's reading that letter, I'm like, God, what does that letter say?
Yeah,
Like,
and I almost like that they didn't let us know.
yeah,
They kept it private amongst the two, and they just gave us the reaction of the two. Ted reading it, and then Sharon watching him reading it. It's once again, it's another one of those situations where there's no dialogue. It's all just, body
it's just
language.
him staring at a sheet of paper. Yeah, and face acting, basically going from one kind of face to another, letting the emotions wash through.
Yeah.
I want to know. Yeah, me too. I want to know.
I want to know, but I can appreciate the fact that they're letting us talk about what we think it could be.
Jason's acting during that letter reading was awesome. Yeah, between Jason's face acting with the letter and Brent's face acting during the photo shoot, where they just
Yeah.
had to stay silent and kind of give meaningful looks. It was great. Do you think we'll see Doctor Sharon again for next season? That's a good question. What do you think?
I'm shocked she left because the season's not over.
Right.
And once a lot of these teams bring on like a psychiatrist or something, they usually become a part of the team for the long term. So they must have felt like, her goal there has been accomplished. Like they only had, there wasn't a long term goal for her being there in the first place.
And Ted still needs therapy. Nate absolutely needs therapy. If we're going to move on with Nate and Nate's still going to be a part of this Richmond club, he's got to have some kind of Dr. Sharon in his life to go through his issues.
Yeah, I think we're done with Nate. Don't think we're going to have him beyond, the end of the season. Maybe a little bit in the first. We'll still see him, I've got a feeling, but I don't think he's not going to be a part of the Diamond Dogs anymore.
It's kind of hard to, yeah. But I mean, Ted did forgive Rebecca for basically the entire premise of the show was a false flag that he forgave her immediately for. But he could see that she was sorry, and I don't know if Nate doesn't seem to be very.
There's not a sorrowful bone in Nate right now.
No, he doesn't feel bad about any of his actions thus far. So that's a bit of a different time here. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we should just go ahead and plow through this. So, Ted and Sharon, they have their interaction here. They meet up at the bar, they have a drink. Ted pulls one over on her, the same thing that she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Where he leaves an army man and a mug of beer and a little note saying goodbye.
Yeah, he got to be able to say goodbye. I think there was a level of closure that he
there
needed.
was.
And it always goes back to the army man.
Yeah.
At the end of last season, he gave it to Jamie when Jamie's on the bus after his dad ripped into him.
Yeah.
He gave it to Sharon this episode. Will Nate get one?
Ooh, I don't know. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a betrayal, man. And Ted's in a vulnerable state right now. I don't know. So yeah, you guys already know. You've watched the episode. So Ted gets home. He gets a text from Ted Crimm of all people of the Independent.
Let's do this. Let's watch what happened, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Talk about face acting. More of that good face acting.
Dude. And we talked about this.
We did.
We talked about it, an article being coming out, by Trent. I love the fact that there's a respect. Like he knew, and I even think Ted knew that if he had something like that, he would have to write it. So I don't think Ted would be mad at Trent at all.
Trent's just doing his job. He's given information and he has to go with it.
And he went ahead and was like, you know what? This is coming out tomorrow. I'm giving you a heads up.
Right.
And he sells an anonymous source. And the fact that he went ahead and because he respects Ted so much, he gave him his source. That is actual
you don't do that in journalism.
That's
much here. I don't know how I feel about Trent revealing his source. Isn't that journalism 101? Never give up your sources. I'm glad he did it, but he doesn't seem the type to break that code, which, I agree with. Trent Crimm, if anything, he's an upstanding journalist. I think maybe that's just goes to show you how much he does respect Ted. He's not willing to not run the story, which would be more down that line, but at the very least, he wanted to, I guess, let him know. And if you have somebody that's betraying you within your own ranks, that's hard to keep from somebody.
Man, I wonder if it has anything like the article had anything to do with maybe Nate referencing Rupert, or you know what I mean, where Trent's a smart guy. He can connect the dots.
Yeah.
And if this is coming out and knowing who the past owner was and the relationship between them and Rebecca, you know what I mean? I can kind of see him, and that may be why he came the heads up and let him know who the rat was inside of the club.
Yeah. Nate won't last, but it probably won't be on Ted. Oh, that's a good point. Like maybe Ted doesn't actually do the firing himself. Maybe Beard tosses him out the way he
Oh,
tossed
I would
Jamie's
love to
dad
see
out.
Roy toss him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would love to see
Maybe
Roy do it.
Ted needs to fire Nate. Can't trust him any longer. I agree. This is almost. I think Nate has crossed the line here, right? Did anyone notice Ted's apartment was much tidier? He was doing better. Oh my gosh, that's a good pull, Melissa. You're right. There was a few times, like I think when Sharon went there, where his apartment was kind of a mess.
Well,
But yeah, when you look on him, everything's nice and tidy.
has anyone noticed a peanut butter on open peanut butter jar? I haven't noticed an open peanut butter jar this season.
Not yet this season. I'm sure it's still there. That we
It's
just
got to
haven't
be
been in
there.
the
You get a
kitchen.
walk by, 2 things of fingers, you got
Yeah.
peanut butter to go. I mean, I haven't noticed one yet. We've seen
We
his
spent a
apartment
lot
quite
of
a few
time in his
times.
kitchen last season, and this season it's been more in his living room with the TV on. So, um, oh yeah, every phone in this show is an iPhone. I mean, you can't help it. It's Apple TV. They got to do what they got to do, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, we did mention about Ted or Trent. He obviously has a lot of respect for Ted. That was an honorable thing to do. Yeah, I agree. It was tough, but Trent did it. Um, can't buy Trent giving Ted a heads up that he has a rat. I know that's the thing. It's so close to home, right?
Yeah.
It's like the enemy, the killer's calling from inside the house, kind of thing. Like Ted, it was heartbreaking. He looked so sad and disappointed. No anger. Yeah, I saw that too. I think there was a
Yeah.
bit of anger there, but it was mostly just complete disappointment.
Yeah,
Like,
because he gave him his chance.
yeah,
Like he's the reason he is where he's at.
yeah,
And then to be betrayed to the level, because he even came out and told everybody. He told them, and everyone went around. They all kind of did their own confession. Between beard and mushrooms, and I think it was Higgins and forgetting time zones, and
that was a big one, and that was just glossed over.
yeah, that was so that was kind of huge. That's really messed the team up a little bit. But when he confided in them,
Right.
and then they go ahead and Nate goes ahead and does what he does. In that room, Roy, Nate, only 4 people know. Roy, Nate, Ted, and Beard.
Right.
And they're gonna real quick figure out who it was.
Sure.
Even if Trent didn't give away his source, there's only 5 people who would have known, and Sharon's one, and she wouldn't say anything because confidentiality issue.
Yeah.
And Beard's not going to turn on him, and Roy you wouldn't. So I mean, it's really narrowing down real quick.
That next meeting in the coach's office is going to be real something when the 4 of them are all in the same room together.
Yeah, Higgins is in there as well. I forgot about Higgins.
Yeah. I can't believe that, just the tension. And like we said, I'm hoping, how they had a huge time jump between last episode and this episode.
I don't want it.
I hope the next episode it just takes off right
Well,
from where we left off.
we need resolution on Sam. So what was it?
Yeah.
72 hours?
Right.
So it has to be within that window. So they can't
True.
go too far.
Yep. This episode ends on Karma Police by Radiohead. It's got to be Radiohead, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was immediate. I called it immediately. Right when it started playing, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
we got something coming. And you know what? It's only fitting that it's not Ted who does it. I feel like it would be more fitting if Roy is the one that plays the part in it, because Roy is now connected to him twice. Roy is connected by him by kissing Keeley, and Roy is connected by him betraying Ted.
And Roy was the one who stuck his neck out in season 1 to tell those guys to lay off him.
Yeah.
He kind of came to his defense when nobody else was. He was kind of the hero last season. It's not Ted's style to destroy another person. You're totally right about that.
Yes.
Nate is digging his own grave. Karma's a bitch. You're right about, yeah. Fitting last song there, I think. Great track for the ending. Yeah, I miss that song. I remember that video too, with Tom York just in the backseat of a car, and man, we grew up with great music, dude. Have you noticed how the episodes are getting longer as the season goes on? I think you're right, because they used to be just kind of like sitcom 35-minute length.
Yeah, now they're getting to the 42.
They're really pushing
50
closer
minutes,
to the hour mark. Yeah, like 50 minutes. Beard needs to fire Nate. I think Beard would definitely,
Beard would
I think
take
he
pride
definitely
in it.
would.
Yeah, I don't think Beard would hesitate.
Plus, Beard's been the one to see this thing going on with Nate all season,
Yeah,
where it
because
hasn't really
Ted's been
been visible to
distracted.
everybody else. Right.
Ted, I mean, it's been Beard who's been trying to steer the ship.
Yeah, I think it should be Beard. If Marcus says he's been keeping an eye on him all season long. Yeah. So okay, so let's speculate a little bit. You're great at
Oh,
speculation.
I love
right?
speculation. Let's
Right?
do this.
Yeah. Sit up in your chair here.
Yeah, I got to get ready. I got to show some mean Mickey.
We've got one episode left. We've got a bunch of loose ends here. Where do we start out with episode 12 here? What are we going to see in this next episode? What do you think?
I think we're going to see them in preparation to the next game.
Yeah.
So we're going to see them in Ted's office. They're going to go ahead and they're going to be going over what this false 9 is. Because honestly, it may not be a bad bet for him because it gets him to play, a little more defensive. Yeah. I mean, I know too much about that. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it starts with that, and something happens, and Nate says something about wanting credit because I don't think Ted's going to come out and say anything. Ted's going to let him in the room. They're going to be in there. They're going to be going through their whole thing, and that's going to be when the article is going to be released. We don't know when the article is released. We know next day.
Yeah.
So it could drop while they're in that room, and then phones will start going off about what's happening, and this whole article. And then Nate is going to be in the room. Ted's going to leave. And I think both Roy and Beard are going to connect the dots because Nate's going to say something to the extent where he wants credit for this if it works again. He's going to push that card again.
Right.
And those two are going to push him.
It's going to come to a head quick, right? I don't think this is going to be boiling under the skin here for the majority of the episode. I think it's going to come out pretty quick. I'm wondering where Ted goes. I mean, Ted leaves. If I'm remembering right, the last episode, Ted leaves his house. As Karma Police is playing, he's not satisfied to just stand there dumbfounded in his living room. He does leave. I wonder if he goes to Beard, where he needs just to talk to somebody about this, and confides in Beard, and then the two of them concoct some kind of plan on how to deal with it the next day. But yeah,
what if he goes to Rebecca?
Oh boy!
What if he goes to Rebecca and he's seeking her, what her thoughts on it? He goes to her okay, I need to talk to somebody. She is really outside of Beard.
Yeah,
she's the closest that he has.
Yeah, as far as somebody close to confide in and really
because she's helped him through all these panic attacks.
Yeah,
and now knowing that this is coming,
and
it's going to be released, she dealt with the media in the first episode with new Rebecca and the whole backlash. So she's going to know how to handle the sports media side of this and all the tabloids. So she can help him through that.
Are we going to see Richmond actually win this game and get promoted, or is there just too much drama going on and it's going to be a distraction?
They're going to win, no doubt, no doubt in my mind.
All right, I believe different. I think they're not going to win.
You don't think they're going to win?
Yeah, we should take bets.
Oh, man. A pie to the face? What do you say?
I don't know. Maybe we should take a quick vote. I wish we could put up a poll here with our listeners.
No, what do you guys think? Are they going to get promoted? Because they need to win this game to go ahead and be promoted back up in the Premier League, which my thought is the end game of the show is them being promoted, demoted, promoted, and then back up and winning the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. We say Marcus is going to win at all costs. So that's one there. They're going to finish with Ted Lasso.
They're going to finish with the Lasso play I think they came up with. Personally, I think Sassy should fire Nate. I think Sassy should fire everybody.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah. Rebecca's a safe one to handle it. Will they lose with Nate's play? Oh, yeah. It's Nate's, it's Nate's idea with this.
What if it's going bad with the false 9 in the first half of the game, and then they're forced to adjust, and they do go to more of a 4-3-3 or whatever, more of an offensive type of setup that they're accustomed to playing, and
going to win, but at a cost. Win, and they're going to win. I think the general consensus is with you that they are going to win. The reason I say that is because we know that they set this show out to be 3 seasons, but we also know the amount of success that they've had. They just won a bunch of Emmys, and
I just had a terrible idea go through my head.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's hear it.
Okay, so it's going by, when Marcus here says, sorry, going to win at a cost. what if the cost is Sam's knee? Sam can't move
Ooh.
on, and Sam blows out his knee.
Ooh, that's harsh.
It's terrible, but
That's
that would
awful.
it is very bad. I go dark sometimes. I'm in that
You
forest.
do.
Man,
Because
yeah.
last time you were like, I was thinking, who's going to be at this funeral? Maybe Sassy died. Maybe Sassy's daughter died. And
Yeah.
you're like, whoa. You were really going for it, going crazy.
But I mean, that would satisfy a lot. A story. He wouldn't go back with his team. He would stay with. Hear me out on this. He would stay with Richmond because that's where the team he's with. He's under contract. That's where he would rehab. Through and
Oh, yeah.
this other guy would no longer want him because he now has a bum knee, which would forward his storyline with Richmond into the Premier League to help them win overall.
It could happen. Yeah, I mean, at a cost, right? It could be any of these players. Boy, that's something else. You say that, then I feel like, man, it would be kind of tough for them to.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Look, that's the great thing about this show is that it could, even though you and I speculate a lot, we do an after show here. We talk
Yeah.
about it for an hour with a bunch of our pals on social media here. But I mean, this is a really well-written show, and I think they will stick the landing. I don't know if we'll exactly like how it ends. I think it'll maybe if it's Empire Strikes Back, maybe Darth Vader wins, Luke gets his hand cut off, Han Solo gets taken away, and things are looking bad. Like things might look bad by the end of this episode.
What if we don't see a resolution to the end of the season? What if we don't get to that game and they start next season at that game?
Boy, see, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, or we don't even see it. Yeah, that would be.
And so they win, say for instance, next season game, episode 1, they win that game. There's a celebration,
right?
And then we see them go into, the Premier League, back.
Yeah, the way this show skips around with time, they could honestly do anything. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that way. Let's catch up on a couple of these comments here. They will win with Nate's play, and Ted will forgive Nate. That's been Ted's MO, to forgive and believe. You're absolutely right about that. I just don't. I feel like you're right. As far as Ted's point in all this, Ted is the kind of character, and he has that character to do the right thing as far as forgiveness. He did that with Rebecca last season.
But what if Nate is forgiven and Nate turns his back and walks away on his own?
I think it's going to be way too quick if all of a sudden this one last episode is Nate is just like, oh gosh, you're right. I'm so sorry, guys. Everything got to my head, and I'm terribly sorry. We haven't seen any inkling of that all season.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't buy that.
Yeah, that would be too quick of a babyface turn there.
They wouldn't earn that turn, and I don't believe that they would even try to do that. I think because I mean, you know how they do the thumbnails for next week. Right. They're all standing there with their hands on the believe.
Yeah.
And there's one person I did not notice.
I don't see
Nate. Didn't see Nate.
Yeah. At first I thought I didn't see Ted, but Ted's back of his head is there. I was like, oh no, what if something happens to Ted? And they're all like, we got to rally behind, do it for Ted.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But okay. So, all right. That was episode 11 of season 2 of Ted Lasso, Midnight Train to, what is it? Royston?
Yeah.
Once again, we have no idea what that means. What Royston? We tried to Google it before the show, but maybe you guys know.
There's a Royston, Georgia, apparently, here in the States.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for this penultimate episode of season 2. A great episode, a lot to chew on here. We are Dadnarok. We do this every single week on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to join us next week for the finale of Ted Lasso and the finale of our Ted Lasso after show, at least for season 2. I'm sure we'll be back next year for season 3.
Oh, absolutely. It's we're back.
Yeah.
We're back, baby.
Chris and I will be doing a show after Ted Lasso too. We'll probably make an announcement on that, I guess, next week.
Oh, I think we're probably ready. We've decided, haven't we?
I guess so. The title of the show is Invasion.
Yeah, and it's on Apple TV as well. It's a first run, season 1. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into. Right. We would really love it if you guys come across. We're going to give you our honest opinion of it. If we love it, great. If we don't love it, we're gonna talk about what we don't love about it. So
I think sometime this week, you and I should do a trailer reaction to the Invasion trailer and put it up there on the YouTube channel and see what you guys think about it. But we're looking to do an after show on Invasion after Ted Lasso, so be sure to stick around for that.
There we go. Okay, guys. Well, like we always say, thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. And until we see you next week on the very sad finale of Ted Lasso, go ahead and keep it cheesy, guys.
See ya.